This episode is presented by Visit Cedar City Bryan Head Tourism Bureau. Discover the art of adventure at Utah's gateway to the parks. Cedar City is within a few hours' drive from 6 different national parks and monuments, and only 30 minutes from fresh snow at Bryan Head Resort. Check out visitcedarcity.com to plan your next trip. This episode is sponsored by the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center. Dedicated to supporting local businesses and entrepreneurs, it provides resources and services aimed at fostering business creation, growth, and retention. To learn more and get involved, visit innovationcenter.cc. Hello and welcome to the Explore Local podcast presented by Visit Cedar City Bryan Head in partnership with Cedar City Iron County Economic Development, produced by Dallas Smith Media, and I'm your host, David Johnson. All right, well, today we have Marty Warburton. He's with Cedar City Music Arts, which has been around for a long time. And you're a board member, correct?
Yeah, a board member. And you say a long time, we're serious about that.
Yeah, why don't you tell us?
Long time.
How long have you been around?
So we're in the midst of our, count 'em, 96th season right now. 96, which means CCMA, Cedar City Music Arts, was founded in 1929.
Wow.
And it's still going. And our claim to fame is we're the second oldest arts organization in the state of Utah, the first being the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
So that's a feather in our hat, and it gets people's attention. And it's our calling card when we're hiring artists to come to Cedar City, and when we're soliciting individuals, businesses, grant opportunities. We usually include that in our resume. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is how long we've been around.
So maybe let's kind of back up a little bit. Why don't you tell us what is it that Cedar City Music Arts does? Because sounds like a very broad name.
It is very broad, and so we bring to Cedar City, and I'll say little old Cedar City because back in '29, I mean Cedar City was little, and so. Since then, and every season since, they've been bringing artists that would otherwise never be seen in southern Utah, let alone Cedar City. You would have to go to Salt Lake, you'd have to go to Los Angeles, maybe Vegas in the later years of Vegas, not so much early on, Denver, the hubs of culture, if you will. So Cedar City Music Arts dedicated themselves to bringing in, I'll say, high-end artists that people would read about in the paper, maybe hear about on the radio back in the day. I mean, we're predating television, let alone internet and social media.
Yeah.
And so it got to be a thing. You think about Cedar City in 1929, in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, even the 60s. Not a lot to do, right? There was one movie showing at the theater, and once you saw that, you had to wait 3 or 4 weeks for another one. And so it brought something to do, as crass as that sounds, to Cedar City. And in the 60s, when the Shakespeare Festival came on board, that's what really put Cedar City on the map, the cultural map, and that helps Cedar City Music Arts get a lot of attention. So we try to coordinate our season during the off season of the Shakespeare Festival.
To complement it?
To complement it, stay out of their way, and
it's indoors as well.
It's indoors, yes. And the venues have changed over the years, obviously. Back in the day, it was school auditoriums and other, sometimes church buildings. But with the advent of the Heritage Center Theater, which has been online for 25 years now, I believe, it's been there ever since that building was brought to Cedar City. And as you know, you've been in there, it's a great venue. It's ahead of its time, it really is. And we get artists, literally, David, from all over the world coming to Cedar City, and they're amazed at a town this size has a facility like the Heritage Center Theater.
Yeah.
It's very classy, it's beautiful. The acoustics are great in there. We have a balcony, we have 958 seats available, I believe. And of course the auxiliary buildings for meetings and conventions and whatever. It's a great destination, and it's hidden behind Lynn's Market. If you don't actually go in, it's like, wow, we didn't know this was here, and we get that a lot from visitors who come to see what we have to offer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, tell me, do you know the origin story of how CCMA got started?
You know what? I knew you were going to ask that question, and I do not know. Just as of late, we've had members of the board and Sarah Penny from Cedar City Arts Council. There's a website that digs into the old Iron County newspaper. I think it was the Iron County Standard or something like that back in the day, and actually archived our articles about who's
coming to perform.
Yeah, who's coming, and the earliest we could get was 1936.
Oh wow!
And it's just amazing to look back in time like that. So the short answer is no, and nobody on the board knows who actually said, "Hey, I have an idea. Let's do this. Let's call it Cedar City Music Arts. Let's get this thing rolling." All we do know is that we're in the 96th season, and it's a great idea. So we're going to look into that. We're going to be interviewing some of the old timers of Cedar City that have been around and have connections to that era. And, that number is dwindling, so we need to take advantage of it while we can. So we want to make a big deal out of it when we do discover, when we can say some names like, here's how this came about.
Well, we just had SUU history professor on, Ryan Paul, who knows all things Cedar City. So maybe we need to connect you guys with him.
That is a good...
to research and find out. How did this get started? Who are the founding... the founders of the organization?
That's a good source right there. And my brain doesn't think like that. I'll ask somebody. I'll go to All American Diner and ask one of the old guys at the at the
oral
counter.
History.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I know that there are entities that save stuff, that archive stuff. And so that's we'll have to look into that.
Over the years, so how long have you been involved?
I've been involved. So I came on in 2018.
Okay.
And shortly after that, COVID hit, and which shut us down. It shut the world down. I don't want to go into the do's and don'ts of that. But so when we, emerged from COVID back in...
Rose like a phoenix from the ashes.
Yeah, like a phoenix.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was like getting this big, giant, heavy ball moving again, because, the people, there's no season this year. And, so we had to go out and find our season ticket holders. We had to get our sponsors back, our benefactors back. We had to put ourselves back in the spotlight again. And we did. We did a free concert. Had a great turnout. People wore masks to that concert. That's how cutting edge it was. We're like, we can do this, but you got to do this.
Sure, yeah.
So, we played along and we got that ball rolling. And because of the people we have on the board, because of the reputation for having been around for so long, people begin to trust what you do. They may not have ever heard of the Repertory Dance Theater. They may not have ever heard of the, and I'll show this for the people at home. It's just, this is our 96th season, and I know you can't read this, but we have 6 more acts coming up this year. People have never really heard of these acts, but they trust Cedar City Music Arts to know that, hey, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me, and it's always family friendly, and it's always, how am I going to say this? It's a good product. We don't want to bring in anything hokey, anything that would insult the ticket buyer. Does that make sense? We want to have a quality product. And the musicians, the artists that we bring in, 90% of them do it for a living. They're professionals. This is what they do. They live on the road. They fly intercontinental flights to be here. And it's not a throw together outfit that, hey, my brother-in-law, I can get him to play, and it's always a quality product. So
do you know, like, over the years, in the 96 years, what are do you know some of the big acts or some that have come through? And
this is the feather in our hat. Of course, it's tradition that we have the Utah Symphony come to kick off every season. Has been tradition, and I will say that we get a grant from the RAP tax, which is great. It's great. And we got a grant from the RAP tax this year. And just so people know, the Utah Symphony cost us I think 30% more than what our rap tax grant was. So right out of the gate, we're spending big money. But the upside of that is the Heritage Center Theater was packed for the Utah Symphony. And the next morning, October 1st, the whole symphony came back to the Heritage Center Theater, and Iron County School District bussed in 907 students.
Oh, wow.
And filled the building. David, at 10 o'clock in the morning with elementary school kids, middle school kids, high school kids, there's a lot of energy in the room at 10. It's like they gave them all a Red Bull when they walked in the room. But when the curtain opened, and there's, I don't know how many, I think 85 musicians in the Utah Symphony, you could have heard a pin drop in there, and these kids were dialed in and applauding and giving standing ovations to the Utah Symphony, and it was so great, cool. And it did my heart good to see these kids. Where otherwise, I don't know what kids do these days to entertain themselves, but there they were, live musicians on stage making music, literally in that grand form right before their eyes. Yeah. And it captures the interest of kids to see a violin played, to see I always like the kettle drums, like I want to do that. Yeah. And what the director does, and the 5 bass violins and everything. But so the first feather in our hat is we have the Utah Symphony every year, and they're so gracious to come here and 2 or 3 semis full of instruments and stuff. But that's awesome. And to answer your question, we just recently found out that back on April 15th of 1954, Isaac Stern was here. Now, many of the viewers might not know who Isaac Stern is, but he was one of the centuries, if not one of the all-time greatest violinists of the time. He was like the Justin Bieber of the. I don't know where else.
Did he swoop his hair to the
He probably
side?
did.
Yeah.
He probably. I don't know. I don't know what his counterpart would be in this era of musicianship. But Isaac Stern in Cedar City in 1954, and we actually found on the archive that I mentioned a newspaper article saying, "Oh, Isaac Stern's coming to Cedar City. This is who is directing, and this is who else is in his ensemble." And it's just so cool. Isaac Stern, a big name in classical music, came to Cedar City. 80 years ago, something like that. 70 years ago. I can't do the math that quick. So, and along the way, I wish I could say, we had Johnny Cash here and things like that, but over the years, and this is another thing, how we're moving into this era of music, it was classical music. 99% of what Cedar City Music Arts was classical. Oh, okay. It was opera, it was quartets, it was symphonies, it was virtuosos, violinists, pianists, and we still do that. But they made a mistake and brought me on the board, and my roots go back to acoustic music and bluegrass music in particular. Yeah. And I just have an appreciation for true musicianship, the artistic.
All around.
Yeah. Anybody that can coax real music out of a piece of wood with strings on it and do it with timing, with drive, and evoke emotion from hearing that. I'm a fan, and so I can appreciate a symphony orchestra, and I can appreciate one person, say a Tommy Emmanuel or a Billy Strings on a single instrument. I have no problem with that. So I began bringing in these different acts, jazz trios, bluegrass acts, Americana acts. And as I said before, what I wanted to do was not put music that I liked. I wanted to introduce this music to the people of Southern Utah to see if they liked it and if I could gain their trust. Like, I'm having a band. I know you haven't heard of them. You've never seen them, on TV. They haven't been on America's Got Talent or American Idol or whatever. But trust me, they're good.
There are so many, if I can interject, there are so, and I'll dive into this later, but it's in Utah, I've been somewhat connected in various music scenes, and you will not believe the number of just incredible musicians and vocalists that you think, man, that person's just going to school, or that person's just working as an accountant here, and they are just incredible.
Yeah.
And you think that person could be professional, and then you hear some things on the radio and you think, how in the world is this on the radio?
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But I mean, there are so many people with musical talent that just would blow your mind.
Yeah.
Just even sometimes in church, I'll hear somebody sing and think, wow, where did that voice come from?
Yeah.
That is just amazing. So
and that's a good point. That's one of the mysteries of professional music. You see what advertising executives want you to see.
Right? Sure.
Pretty much. And as you said, David, there's so many good musicians out there, and as much flack as social media gets, the YouTubes, the TikToks, and whatever. Because of that, so many young people are being exposed to what can be done with the guitar, what can be done with the trumpet, what can be done with the piano.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. These kids, I'll call them kids, early 20s, late teens, they're hitting the ground running with these instruments because they've got a head start. They've got a jump start from what they see on social media. And it's great. And they're understanding what a great instrument is, the difference between a Walmart guitar and a guitar that cost you $50,000,
Right.
And the violins, you've heard the stories about the Stradivarius and how rare and how priceless they are. And these kids are getting it. They understand it, and they're embracing it, and they're respecting the traditions and moving things forward in all genres of music, from jazz to acoustic, symphonic, whatever the case. They're taking it serious and running with it. So and it's good to see that. I keep, getting artists in. I'm like, wow, these guys are just kids, and they're killing it. They mash on it.
On that note, I'm thinking more in the rock realm, but a lot of really amazing songs and albums that come out are people when they are in their younger years, like their debut or their second album or something. And a lot of these, bands that, their best music a lot of times is in the beginning when they first hit it off. Yeah. And I've always wondered, and then there's some that just throughout their whole careers just create incredible music. Right. But I've always wondered kind of what that is or why that is a little bit. And this is Dave Johnson's Music Analysis 101, but my favorite band that I've mentioned way too many times on this podcast, and I probably will continue, is Weezer. And their first album was just a smash hit, so much so that they were criticized that they were just a studio production, like the Monkees or something, right? But they weren't, and it was just such a good hit. And their second album was a flop, but then has become a cult classic that most fans rival with the first album. And since then, I think they now have 15 studio albums.
Right.
And everybody, they have different generations of fans, but everybody agrees like there's no albums better than those first two.
Right.
And what I attribute to that is a lot of times in your youth, there's a newness to sounds. There's a newness to emotion and the way you express that.
Right.
And I heard someone say something, and I'll say it the other day, that kind of captured what my thought is. But but I'll finish my thought and then tell you what they were saying. But I think a lot of that is that growth and that newness of life and thoughts and working through angst or working through whatever it is in those younger years. It's so much more easy to express.
It is.
And I can't remember who the artist was. I was listening this was just like a week or two ago. They were saying, my best music is when things are going not great, or when there's something very specific going on in my life. When things are going great in my life, I get nothing, or when things are smooth, I get nothing. Yeah. And it's because there's something about emotion that drives the flow of the music that goes. And you'll have to correct me, or maybe those who really know classical, because I don't know classical, but wasn't it Beethoven? I can't remember which symphony it was, where the dum 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 was to wake up his audience because he was tired of them falling asleep in some of their performances. And you classical people can correct me on what that background really is on that story. But there's these because he was frustrated from what I understand when telling and having been told this story years ago in my youth. So I may be misremembering how this is told, but he's frustrated because his audience was falling asleep. And so he created this song to wake them up. And there's so much in music I think that's the intent of music. It's emotive. It's to express.
It very much so.
And it could be from positive. Like I have artists when I just need to just a little bit of pick me up, but a calm, I have specific artists for that. When I'm like frustrated, I have specific artists for that. And when I like need like some thoughtful, I don't know if we want to say spiritual, but maybe sometimes I have artists for that. And or even just genres. Anyways, I don't know if you have thoughts on Blabbin'.
What? I'm grateful. So you're a non-musician. Is that a fair?
No, actually, I play. I play the guitar. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, write all my own stuff. Yeah.
It's good to know because I have the same deep thoughts about this too. And I wish I could bottle that.
Yeah.
So your Weezer, for me, it was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Okay.
Here's for potheads. I'll just say it. In the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, and Vietnam War, blah, 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 everything going on.
Name the artist again?
Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
Okay.
CSNY.
Okay.
And
I thought I knew more. Are they rock or what are they?
Yeah, they're rock.
David
Crosby,
give me a song.
Stephen Stills.
I grew up on classic rock, but I didn't know all the bands because they just came on the radio.
Man,
now
my mind just went blank. Yeah. Anyway,
I interrupted your thought. You finish your thought.
I'll come up with CSNY, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They would just make music out of thin air.
Yeah.
4-part harmonies. So Neil Young, I don't know if you know Neil Young.
Yeah.
And the song that I hope Neil Young will remember. A Southern man don't need him around because he was talking about Alabama, Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
He was dissing it.
That line is
these
always
rock
wait,
wars.
is that them?
Yeah, well, that's the Neil Young of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He later left the band. Oh. But my point is, these guys who had maybe a dozen working brain cells at the time, but I believe, David, that there are people that are literally, truly gifted when it comes to that.
I agree.
And you talked about them doing that in their early days, in their late teens, in their 20s, and I think that's the time when all the moving parts come together. I wish I could bottle it. I wish I could, write a a flow chart. Do this, then do this, then do this. Get stoned, write a song. I don't know how they did it.
Let's not get stoned. Isn't there a song about that? Everybody.
There's probably more than one.
Yeah.
But I look at them and think that they're like a gift, despite their social faults, despite their views on life. They make music that endures through the eternities in my mind. Yeah. And and you look at the Elvis, you look at the Jerry Lee Lewis's and the Johnny Cash's, and for me, Grand Funk Railroad back in the day, where I'd have the stereo on and it would look like a sitcom. My dad would burst the door open and turn that rock off, or you're going to go deaf, and that was me. But I think, so when you're young like that, and I had a slight experience with this, so I had a bluegrass band early on in the day, and kids are young, working for a living, working 40 hours. I could go on a weekend, I could disappear and go play gigs around, and drive. When you're 22 years old, you can drive 800 miles on a Thursday night or a Friday night to be at a gig the next morning. And then
you probably only got 5 miles to the gallon back then.
Oh yeah,
but it's probably like 20 cents to the gallon.
It was 29 cents a gallon back in the day. But who cared? We had a gig, and I'd drive 800 miles. I left. When I lived in Vegas, I left Vegas a Thursday night. We drove to Casper, Wyoming, which is 800 miles. It was at the top of the
bustling
mountain.
town of Casper, Wyoming.
Oh my gosh! But we had a gig. We played that weekend, got back in the car and drove, and I was back to work at 6 o'clock Monday morning in Vegas doing what I, do for a living, and loved it. And I think we made $300 as a band, split between 5 people. We didn't care. We had a gig. And I think the drive was to make music. It's so fun with other people that are like-minded to sit and you got a bass player. You know this as a guitar player. You got, and in my genre of music, with no drums, so you got a mandolin chopping the offbeat and the bass comes in, and when it comes together, it's just magic. It's just so cool to hear that in your own ears and the music that you're making. And so I'm glad that you were ruminating on, what is it that makes these young musicians in the early days come back. And now you'll see, like I watched AC/DC the other night, and, he's still out there doing his thing and Scream singing. And I watched Black Sabbath's tribute, Ozzy Osbourne's last show, and here these guys can't stand up anymore. They're sitting down playing this stuff and just killing it. And the crowd, there's 50,000 people in the crowd. Yeah. So it endures. And I think every genre, whether it be classical, rock, Americana, I think they all have those moments in time where they just emerged and came on the scene. And Weezer, I still can't think of a CSNY song, but I don't know a Weezer song. If you played Weezer for me right now, I would say, oh, that's Weezer.
They have a song called Buddy Holly. I don't know.
Teach Your Children Well was the one CSNY did.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And so it endures over the ages. So the long story is that we can't afford to bring in the Weezers, the CCNYs, the Billy Strings, the whoever else is popular these days. But we bring in the people that are, as you pointed out, they're talented. They're immersed in it, but their conditions, their circumstances, their life path isn't where they can do it. They can be on TV, be on, all the Tonight Show and whatever to get that broad audience, but they're talented just the same. And so there's an undercurrent of that level of musicians. The musicianship is not the problem, it's logistics. It's them being able to afford to go on the road and play and do it full time. So we bring in those acts that we can afford, and we'll have a good product. Yeah. And I've told people, because we sell our tickets in season packages. You can buy one at the door, or you can buy a season package. And but I said, if you don't like this, and I'm serious, I'll give you your money back. You come to me after the concert, I'll reach in my wallet, and I'll pay you back if you don't like it. And I've never had anybody take me up on it. In a serious note, you always get the jokers that say, oh, I hated that, where's my money? But they have a smile on their face. So the acts that we have brought in are top notch. And
so let's talk about some of your favorite acts of the past that since you've been involved.
Okay, so my favorite one, and this is one when we were coming out of COVID, right? And it's Appalachian Roadshow. And it's, I think there's 6 members of the band, and it's Americana, bluegrass, country, and they're full-time musicians. They've been around forever, and these are the people you speak of. They're just phenomenal, phenomenal musicians. Vocal-wise, instrumentation-wise, the material that they present, 90% of it is written by them, and they represent the Appalachians, the music that came because of the Civil War and the Revolutionary War and all this music. And I've known a few of the members of the band for 30 years or so, and I invited them out to come to Cedar City, and they said, yeah, we'd love to. And I'll speak more of this later, but I got them a few other dates at other places that we work with. So when someone does come from the East Coast or does come from Brazil, we can send them here, send them there. So they're coming out this part of the country makes it worth their while. So we put them up. It's been torn down since, but the El Rey Hotel, that's now, I think it's a Hampton Inn going on Main Street. Anyway, so we brought them in. We paid for the night. They got here, and then they did their performance, and we paid for their night for that night. And they did a phenomenal show. They were supposed to go 75 minutes. They went 1 hour and 45 minutes, and the crowd wouldn't let. They got like 3 encores, and just blew the lid off the Heritage Center Theater. And I'll tell you a quick story. So I was at the El Rey front desk. I'm saying, hey, I got these guys coming in. They live in Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I'll let you talk to him because they need credit card information.
Yeah.
So I gave him the phone. Good friend of mine, Barry Abernathy from Georgia. He's got the accent.
Yeah.
And when I say a Georgia accent, you've been around the country. You know what a Georgia accent. He started telling her his credit card information. She couldn't understand it. He said, it's 459 403 46. What? She said, I can't understand him. I said, I'll translate. So I said, Barry, tell me your number. We got that done. But what I want to say is, so they were here 2 nights. They bought 4 extra nights at the El Rey and played tourists. They loved it out here. They went to the Grand Canyon. They went to Cedar Breaks. They went to Bryce. They went to Zion. They even drove out to Great Basin.
Oh, wow.
Because it's so wide open here. You know, in Georgia, you can't see 20 feet off the road because of the kudzu and the trees. And they loved it here. And the good thing about that is musicians talk. Hey, we went out here, we played this gig.
Yeah.
The promoters of Flake, don't go out there. You know, this place is great.
Yeah.
There's a great restaurant next door, blah, blah, blah. And so they talk. And so in hiring these bands, and I've seen it with other artists that we've had come to town, instead of us finding them, I'm starting to get phone calls. Hey, I talked to so-and-so. They said you guys had this, you know, can we talk about us coming to town?
Yeah.
And it works. That's what makes that level of musicianship go around, and everybody wins.
Yeah.
Cedar City Music Arts wins. Cedar City wins. The Iron County School District kids win. They get to see these things. The artist wins, and we have something to take our mind off, you know, what's going on in the world otherwise, if only for an evening.
Yeah.
To go in, you know, and the lights dim, and these artists come and do exactly what you were talking about, this phenomenal musicianship that you would otherwise never hear and at this moment in time. Yeah. And so, you know, everything from Isaac Stern to the Appalachian Roadshow, we try to have a variety of things to offer. I call it a good product. I don't know what else to call it. I'm not a salesman.
Yeah.
I like to let the music sell itself, you know.
Well, and I'm kind of waiting kind of on the back end of this episode to talk about the season.
Sure.
And kind of dive into some of those artists.
Sure.
But you made me think of a few things when you're talking about kind of like the different genres of music and exposing kids and things. So when I grew up, my dad, I may have mentioned this very brief in another podcast episode, but my dad, I joked that he always went through phases. There was musical phases and other just random phases of something that he like hyper focused and interested in.
Sure.
But some of his phases, musical phases, was like old school country music, French music like Edith Piaf, if you're familiar with Edith Piaf. I grew up on all classic rock. And then there was just all these random classical phases that my dad would go through. And so I was exposed to a lot of different music. He wasn't a musician or anything like that, but he just loved different genres of music. And most of the time, like when he went through his Edith Piaf phase, at first we're all like, "Oh my goodness, what is this? And why are you playing it?" But then after a while, it became very endearing. In fact, one of the things at Christmas time, you think most people would listen to just like, you know, classic Christmas jingles that you hear on the radio. Right. Nope. Our family Christmas album every year, setting up the Christmas tree, was a Dolly Parton Christmas. Oh, wow. And so we laugh about it because we're like, oh my gosh, some of this music, but it also is very endearing and now has become very nostalgic for me. And so there's something about music that resonates. My dad's mother, my grandma, she was a beautician. This is a little random digression, but she would at times go and do hair for people in rest homes, or that they're maybe had Alzheimer's or dementia and things.
Right.
She would go do their hair, and they wouldn't speak, or some of them couldn't speak. She would tell me. So she would start singing a song like "You Are My Sunshine," and all of a sudden, they would start singing along with her.
Wow.
Because there's power in music.
Oh, yeah.
That resonates with so many people. That's why you see a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, every movie, you don't realize it, but there's music moving you with the dialogue.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of times on social media, that's where I was going to go. You'll see like a speech by someone, and I'll be halfway through the little, clip of their speech and realize, oh, there's music in the background.
Yeah.
And anyways, music just has such a powerful influence. I mean, think of Star Wars and anything John Williams.
Sure.
Like my wife always jokes, oh man, I love the music in this movie. And she's like, oh, John Williams did it. That's why, and so it's just no surprise.
Yeah, it is. And I'll admit it. I'm a big, strong guy, but I've had to pull off the side of the road in tears by music that I've heard.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on a radio. It was a CD that I'd bought, or and now with streaming, certain music just grabs you and shakes you to the core, and I can't deny it. I actually welcome those experiences. Whether it's at home, whether I'm going down I-15 at 80 miles an hour, and my wife will attest to this. I've had to pull off the side of the road and gather myself. Just because, and she gets it. She goes, I know you're not a sissy, you're not a crybaby. It just gets you. And like the Dolly Parton album, our Christmas album was every year Ace Hardware would come out with a Christmas album.
Oh, really?
And hokey, as it is, but we got Perry Como and stuff on there singing, and my kid used to say, "Oh no, not again!" But now they love that album. It's available on Spotify or YouTube.
So with my family, now that I have my own family, over the years, our favorite album, gosh, when my kids were little, at Walmart or something, I found a Rat Pack Christmas.
Oh man!
And so I got the Rat Pack Christmas, and it has become this tradition, so much so that several years ago, I got a copy for my in-laws. And anyways, it's just. So a Rat Pack Christmas, with Dino and,
Baby, It's Cold Outside. Is that on there?
Yep. And Sammy Davis Jr. and obviously Frank Sinatra. And anyways, just. That one has been so great. And then, obviously there's the songs on the radio. I loathe the song Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. I don't know what the actual name of that song. Is it Paul McCartney that sings that one?
I think so. The Beatles one.
Oh, it's just over and over.
Yeah. But, and it's instant, whether it's Christmas album or what, I hear a certain song and it takes you back to the moment when you first heard it and where you heard it, who you were with when you heard it. And that's what music does for people. I mean, it's an emotion. Once you get past the glitz, the glamour, what are they wearing? What's the backdrop? Are they going to have fireworks? Is there going to be pyrotechnics here? Once you can get to a point where you can truly appreciate the music that's being performed, again, made out of thin air, it takes you to a different level of appreciation. And that's what we try to do. We try to bring that in. And you can't, people are, even non-musicians, people can spot a phony. I can. I'll hear some of the acts that are, on the top shelf these days, and I'm like, man, that's all bought and paid for. That's just mirrors and smoke and some sound editing and what's the pitch control, the auto-tune?
Auto-tune.
I can hear it a mile off, but I've been in people's front rooms. I've been in church. I've been at music festivals. I've been on stage where you hear music and it's just like, oh man, this is what I live for. This is
true.
And you need that. Your soul needs that. It's like if you ate meat and potatoes every day, it's, you need a change.
A variety, In fact, when you say that too, there's something also, not only being exposed to a variety of music, but there's something, as you were chatting, I started thinking about, there's something about Well, there's something about recorded music for sure, but there's something about live music.
Right.
So myself, I've tried recording some of my music. I don't know if it's just, I don't know what I'm doing, but man, and I don't know if I always joke. My disclaimer is I'm a mediocre vocalist. I'm a rhythm guitarist that knows a few tricks to look like I know what I'm doing.
Right.
But there's something about when I play like live, like acoustically, versus my recordings I like cringe at. But when I play live, like people will be like, wow, that was really good.
Sure.
Not always. I've had some cringy moments live too. Like I said, I'm a mediocre vocalist, but when you go to a show, when you're talking about those young kids coming in like they were hopped up on Red Bulls, but it's just youthful energy.
Yeah.
And then the orchestra, classical music plays and they go silent with that pin drop. Yeah. I mean, it's so cool of how music moves and how music can change the tone in a situation. And it's cool to see.
It really does. And to be fair, the Utah Symphony opened with the Star Wars theme.
I was going to say, a lot of times to catch their attention, familiarize them with something they know.
It blew their minds. Like, this is where that music came from, you know? And even at the age they are, I mean, Star Wars is ancient now, right?
Yeah.
The original movie, but it endures, of course. So they opened with Star Wars, and these kids were just mesmerized. I could feel it.
Yeah.
You could have heard a pin drop in there, literally.
That's awesome.
And just for them to go, wow, it's an ethereal moment for them.
Yeah.
But live music, especially, because you can't overdub.
Yeah.
Flubs and mistakes. And
that is very
you
true.
talk about your singing voice being mediocre. It doesn't matter. You listen to Bob Dylan sing.
Oh, man. A song from Bob Dylan came on the other day because my daughter, she's in some pop culture music class or something, and something with Bob Dylan came on, and my kids are like, what is this? Because they're like, hey, the way he sings, you're right.
And I heard Bob Dylan, I was like, Bob, I can sing. Yeah, I can sing. I am a good singer. I'm really good, as a matter of fact.
Some of my favorite music is actually some like punk music, and they're like of the 80s and 90s.
Sure.
And there's some where they're just like, they're flat or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But when you were talking earlier about the drive and the passion behind it, sometimes like there's almost that went flat, but somehow that worked.
It was real.
Somehow it worked.
Yeah, you knew it was real. You knew it was what was happening right then. You get to see it. And hopefully that's what our hope is. That's what my hope is with Cedar City Music Arts, is people will be able to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Because I would venture to say that 90% of the population of Cedar City that could count in years, not months or weeks, since they've seen a live performance of music.
Yeah. I mean, my first concert, like actual like professional concert, wasn't until, I mean, I'd seen live music. I'd seen some ballets and things like that growing up, theater, things like that. And then I played gigs around in college occasionally. I wasn't like some well-known artist or anything.
Yeah.
But my first professional performance wasn't until I was married and had a couple kids. And I couldn't believe like how fun it was.
Yeah.
And, since I've been to a few different ones, and it is a lot of fun. And there's a different atmosphere between a big concert, and those are fun for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But I actually really love, like when I was in college, when you talked about getting a gig and artists saying, hey, you should play here. Yeah. There are places where it's like, oh man, if only I could play there.
Absolutely.
And I loved going to some of those small, rundown, intimate shows. There's a place up north called Kilby Court, and it's literally just a shed. But all of these artists come from all over to play in Kilby Court, and then Kilby Court does this big thing every year, and they move it outside of the shed. And sorry, Kilby Court, but there's something about different atmospheres
Sure.
and intimacies where you see
Yeah.
these artists up front.
Yeah.
I remember one time I went and saw a band that I liked, and they were kind of out of their heyday and kind of coming down, but still touring. And so I saw them in a mid-sized venue, not a big stadium, not a tiny little thing. And their lead guitarist was just shredding it. And my brother leans over to me. He's a really good bassist and just musician all around. And my brother leans over to me. He's like, "Look at this lead guitar shredding it. Yet all the girls are swooning over the vocalist who's not even singing right now." And we just started laughing.
With no instrument in his hand, right?
Yeah,
Those guys.
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Cracks
The
me
David
up.
Lee Roths of the world.
Yes, yeah.
And I agree with that. So I've played in bluegrass bands, for those of you that don't know, banjo, fiddle, guitar, stand-up bass.
Yeah.
And for since I was 20 years old and I still do that. But on the other side of that, I play with my wife, and I have 4 daughters. And
Oh, really? You all play together?
We play together.
Oh, cool.
We've recorded Marty Warburton and Homegirls is the name of our little thing. And we played festivals all around the Southwest.
Really? That's fun.
And we played to 5,000 people. We've played, we played at the Heritage Center Theater. And you talk about different venues having different meaning. We were able to play at the Pine Valley Chapel, which was built in 1868, I believe. And if you haven't been in the Pine Valley Chapel, Pine Valley, Utah, it's 45 minutes from here. And it's we were able to play in there. And I talked to it was a branch presidency at the time. I talked to them, and they said when this building was dedicated, it was to be a place of worship and a place of cultural gathering. He said, so sure, we can bring you guys in.
Oh, that's great.
And we're all acoustic, and it's just in Marty Warburton and Homegirls. I didn't mean to come in here and talk about that. We're supposed to be talking about Cedar City Music
that's
Arts.
what we do on this show is
Sure.
kind of get to know you. And then, I want to keep hearing, and I have a couple of funny imageries that came to my
Sure.
mind when you said Marty Warburton. So tell that.
Okay.
I'll do a digression, and then let's get into this season and the
sure.
artists coming in.
Yeah.
So tell me about Marty. With your daughters, your wife.
difference between playing an outdoor venue with 5,000 people and then playing in a place like the Pine Valley Chapel to 50 or 60 people on a night in January when there's 3 feet of snow on the ground.
Yeah.
And you got acoustic instruments. It's like a religious experience. I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah, right.
And to have
it's hard to
my
describe.
wife and my daughter's harmony vocals in my ear, no amps, no microphones, no plugins, no nothing. It's just it just takes you to a place where I'll always have that memory. And we're not done yet. I mean, we're still out there doing it.
So I have a picture of an album cover for you, because the word Warburton sounds so refined.
Oh yeah.
And so I have a picture of, like, in very simple black and white, the Warburtons, and then there's like a silhouette of you with your goatee, like an outline, like a drawn silhouette with a bow tie.
I like
and
where
your
this
instrument,
is going. Yeah.
and just your instrument. It's just the Warburtons, and Homegirls.
I like that. I like that. Our album cover now, and you can look us up on Spotify or whatever.
Isn't that great that you can be on Spotify? David, all these artists.
There's nothing more surreal than going down the road and listening to Sirius XM radio or another stream and hear one of your own songs come on the radio.
That's so awesome.
It's a mind blower.
Yeah.
It's just like, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Am I dreaming?
That is cool.
But so our current album is I got a picture of my wife and 2 of my daughters that are on the album, and my name is at the bottom. It's Homegirls and Marty Warburton, discreetly placed. And those girls, they do a lot of a cappella singing,
That's
3-part
awesome.
harmony that it puts people in tears for the right reason,
That's
for the
awesome.
right reason. So,
That is so
but I'll
cool.
keep that in mind.
I already have it visualized. It's just what's your main instrument that you play?
And that configuration guitar.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
just
that's
guitar
what I
and bass.
pictured. It's like very refined with your goatee.
Oh, sure.
The guitar, bow tie, the Warburtons.
Oh, man.
And then maybe I don't know. We'll have to think through it more, but
I like that. I like it.
That'll be a pitch too.
We have material.
You better take it back to the band.
So yeah, I'll take it. I'm just the looks of the band.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's talk about this season. So don't miss a moment. Cedar City Music Arts, a 96th virtuoso season.
Yeah, 96.
Okay, so you've already had a couple performances, right?
We had the Utah Symphony.
Utah Symphony, Repertory Dance Theater. Talk about both of them, and let's give just, I don't know, like a 30-second highlight on each of them, and maybe we can digress as necessary.
I'd be happy to. Anytime you can advertise and produce something the magnitude of a symphony to come to your town, it's a big task.
And we've talked about the Utah Symphony this year, right?
You're right.
So anything else you want to say on them?
Just my thanks go to the tech and the management of the Heritage Center Theater. They are so great to work with them with sound accommodations.
Love our staff there. Yeah.
Oh yes, they're excellent, and they pull it off seamlessly. It's so professional, and so. To draw an analogy with the dancers, I can't say I'm a really big dance fan. Yeah. Probably because I can't dance, but I appreciate what they're doing just like I appreciate a musician on an instrument. Yeah. I see Steph Curry hit a three-pointer. I see LeBron James leave the foul line and dunk. I appreciate the athleticism. I appreciate the discipline that it takes. Yeah. And so night before last, I saw these dancers doing things with their body and jumping and twisting and landing.
The athleticism.
The athleticism.
To music.
To music.
Yeah.
That's the kicker. And there's an appreciation. I can appreciate them on the level which I'm capable. And there's other people there that live for dance and know, they're doing this piece. This was choreographed by this choreographer back in the day, and they appreciate it. But I can appreciate it on the level to which I'm able to understand it. And that's what I'm hoping when people come in, not knowing who's on the marquee, they're coming in, they're going to be able to appreciate it, whether their dad was into country music as a kid or a French singer, that they will recognize a part of it that will make it valuable to them. Yeah.
So Repertory Dance Theater, where did they come?
They're a Salt Lake, and they're in their 60th year, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And they just perpetuate, and they've performed all over the world, actually. I got to talk with the director, and they love dance just as much as I love what I do. Yeah. And I appreciate that. It takes dedication because it's, my motto is getting on stage and playing and performing. That's the easy part. It's all the logistics, the rehearsals, the travel, the logistics, the late nights, the bad restaurants along the way. That's the hard part. Yeah. Getting on stage and performing is the payoff for everyone. So
that's awesome. So on November 12th, you have Night of Double Duets. Yeah. Talk about those artists.
We hatched an idea a few years back, double duets.
So Act One, the Kostler duo. Talk about them.
Act One is a Kostler duo. It's a pair of brothers, Adam Kostler and Andrew Kostler from
Adam and John.
John, yes, from North Carolina, and it's acoustic classical guitarists, and they sent us their set list, and it's all classical with some crossover into other genres. And they'll perform, and then we'll take an intermission, and then we have the Kuozov duo, a husband and wife, cello and piano duo that will close the evening's event. And it's been very well received. We had another last year people never heard of, Trey Hensley and Rob Ikes, Grammy-winning artists that closed our show for us last year. Amazing show, just amazing. And I think I overused that word, but until you're in a seat 20 feet away from these people pulling that kind of music out of simple instruments, it's a sight to behold. And
that's
like
awesome.
You said, there's emotion built in with that. So, Night of Double Duets. I mean, it sounds gimmicky, and it might just be a gimmick.
It sounds perfect. It says what it is.
It really works, and it's a lot of fun.
Double duets. I love that. And then in January, you have the Valencia...
The Valencia baryton. Have you heard the word baryton before?
I haven't. I was almost wondering if it was like a play on words for baritone, but no it's not.
No,
what is
and
that?
This was new on me.
The baryton.
Baryton is an instrument from the 1500s 1500s. It's like a cross between a violin and a plucked
I'm seeing
instrument.
this picture. Yeah.
And there was a lot of music written specifically for that instrument.
Really?
From Haydn, I think Mozart wrote stuff, but the instrument kind of faded out for who knows why.
Yeah.
But these guys, the Valencia Baryton Project, have resurrected that, and these guys are on the road out of respect for that instrument and performing all over the world with that instrument. And so that's
awesome.
something you won't see on American Idol or you won't see on The Tonight Show.
Yeah.
You would have to hunt it down. So they're coming to Cedar City, and we're going to get to hear music from the 1500s played on our stage.
So your next artist in February, I actually have some experience with them.
Very good.
Due West.
Yeah.
Kind of country.
Yeah.
The lead vocalist's voice reminds me very much of like kind of like the really prominent 90s country singers.
Yeah.
Due West. So in a past life between for one summer between jobs, I was the house manager of the Sandy Amphitheater.
Oh, okay.
And we had a lot of artists come through, and Due West was one of them. And I remember after the show, I was chatting with a couple of the guys, and like, oh, let me give you, a couple of our albums and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was asking them, I was at that time, 15 years ago, I was like, what do you do to copyright your songs to make sure they don't get ripped off? Because YouTube and some of those things were coming up. Their advice was, put your song on a disc and the lyrics and everything in an envelope, mail it to yourself, and then you have a government postmark or a government stamp.
Yeah.
And I never did that. I should have done that.
Yeah.
But not that my songs will ever be stolen. But I just remember like it was so cool chatting with them, getting advice. They were younger then.
Sure.
And so when I saw the picture, I'm like, is this the same group? Because one of our friends here, he has a big goatee and a handlebar mustache.
Right.
And so it was so cool. But if you listen, when you were talking earlier about harmonies and quality of artistry in their voices, I mean, they have such great voices. And I'm not a country guy.
Right.
I'm one of the first to say that.
Yeah.
But their music is so cool to listen to, and their harmonies is so awesome.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say on Due West?
So they're not a 90s country. You hit the nail on the head.
That's kind of what it reminds me of.
That's their neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
And normally we wouldn't consider a country band, but because of the vocals, because of their history with Southern Utah, Tim Gates, I'll call him the leader of the band.
Yeah.
He performs at Bryce Canyon at Ruby's Inn, I think almost nightly. Yeah, with another configuration, and maybe with the help of some of these guys. But the other two guys are from Nashville, and you listen to their recordings, and it's spotless. It's good stuff, and the harmonies are just
when they were
crazy.
part of this Nashville tribute band. So they did the Nashville tribute band, and then they did then they have their band Due West. So it was,
and so we kind of hesitated. But we had so much public input. You need to get Due West. You need to get Due West. You need to get Due West.
That's great.
Let's get Due West.
That's awesome.
Because they've done one-off concerts here before, produced by themselves.
Yeah.
Where we want to come through town.
Yeah.
And so we're excited to have them here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We want to open that door.
Well, I got to tell one digressive story, and then I want to highlight your last two artists. When I was the house manager at the Sandy Amphitheater, we had a lot of great artists come through. At some up and coming, some older artists, some local artists, and then local performing groups. But one of the memories that I have is Eddie Money came through.
Oh, wow.
And his daughter was the opener for him. And I'll tell you two parts. So when he came out, his daughter performed right before him, young lady at the time, 15, 16 years ago. And he comes on stage after she wraps up, and like young musicians do, sometimes their clothing choices parents don't always approve of. And he comes out on his stage and he's like, hey, I'm so sorry. And I don't know if I'm doing a great Eddie Money impression. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she'd be wearing that. You know, she should put some more clothes on or something. And I was just dying laughing. Could you imagine opening for your father? And your father comes out and says it.
Yeah.
And so then after he kind of razzes his daughter, he's like, guess what I have in my pocket? And he's like, 2 tickets to paradise. And I'm like, oh my God.
And the crowd goes wild, right?
Yeah. And he plays 2 tickets to paradise. But the entertainment factor there is definitely something to be said.
Oh, sure.
And Eddie, if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you are, I'm sorry for the horrible impersonation. My accent was probably completely different.
But see, you don't get that on a CD. You don't hear that on the Spotify. And that's the benefit of live music. You're there, and it's things happen, things are said, and versions of songs. I've heard artists singing songs that they wrote, they forget the lyrics and laugh about it halfway through.
Oh, all the time, yeah.
And it's all part of the entertainment.
I've seen during COVID, and in fact, the lead singer of Weezer, he would do Zoom calls, and you could get in on the Zoom calls, and he would play some of his songs, and he would have an iPad up to reference his own lyrics because he's written so many songs, even his most famous ones. He's like, so it's just hilarious.
Thing.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, let's touch on your last two. So in March you have the Consensus. Talk about that.
Special Consensus.
Special Consensus.
Special Consensus, and what that name means, David, I have no idea, but I do know these guys personally. Greg Cahill. And I don't want to scare anybody off, but they're celebrating their 50th anniversary as a band this year.
I looking at this picture, I can't imagine it's their 50th anniversary.
It's their 50th anniversary,
That's crazy.
But he's the only original member of the band. The banjo player. And they call him, he's like the professor of bluegrass. There have been so many other musicians that have gone through his band and gone on to start other bands. I mean, I'm talking 40 or 50 names over 50 years. And they are so dialed in. They are so precise and so tasteful. And the drive that I mentioned, drive is a hard thing to define. It's like trying to define the taste of salt.
Yeah.
Like, well, it tastes like salt. Well, drive, it's drive. You feel it. It moves you forward. And the vocals, the instrumental prowess of Special Consensus is a sight to behold. And I hope everybody takes this seriously.
It's a quartet.
It's a quartet.
So they've got a banjo, guitar, a bass, an upright bass, and a mandolin.
And a mandolin.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
the music they get done with those 4 simple instruments. Nothing's plugged in. No volume knob, no pedals.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's all just mic'd acoustically.
It's all mic'd. It's acoustic, and man, the things that they pull off is just phenomenal.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Special C, we call them in the business. Special C. Sound like a cereal, but Special Consensus.
Okay, so let's talk about your season closer, a pianist. So
yes, pronounce his name for me, will you, David?
I was going to let you do that. Ilya Yakusev.
That sounds close enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I saying that wrong? You'll have to tell me.
Yakushev, I think.
Yakushev.
I don't know. That's the Cedar City pronunciation
so
far. But exactly what it sounds like. He's from Russia. He's a concert pianist, brought up through the rigid standards of Russian philosophy and Russian music and appreciation for the piano. And he will be here. So most of these bands, we're going to do a matinee for the school kids. Special C is doing it. The Valencia is doing it. Due West is going to do a matinee for the school kids. We'll bus them in.
Oh, awesome.
But I talked to Ilya's agent, and I said, hey, usually we do a matinee for the school kids, Q&A. How does a piano work, But the questions the kids usually ask is, what did you have for breakfast and how old are you and stuff. But it's quite comical. But she says, well, he doesn't speak English, so that would be a rough one. So
wow.
He will not be doing a matinee, but he's a high-end musician. He's one of the people you alluded to earlier on, like these people you never heard of, but got the touch, got the magic. And I've seen it done before. He'll sit at our grand piano there, the Steinway, and at the Heritage Center Theater. We have it tuned before every performance, and these guys will come in earlier in the day, and it blew my mind. Sit at the piano and practice for 2 hours, just nonstop. on the day of.
Just to warm up.
Just to warm up.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind, the discipline and that they exhibit. They take it serious. That's what.
Well,
they
you
do
have to, right?
Yeah.
Well, to close, why don't you tell us where people can go online to learn more about Cedar City Music Arts,
Sure.
The cost of season tickets, and any other info that you kind of want to wrap up with?
We're not hard to find. We just redid our website. It was stuck in the 90s for a long time.
A lot of websites are. I'm glad you guys have come out of the
So,
90s. Were great.
Yes, the 90s were great. But cedarcitymusicarts.org.
Okay.
And you can just Google it. It'll show up. We also have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. Again, we're trying to get in the 2000s here, David. We're not hard to find. Or you can call the box office at the Heritage Center Theater.
Yeah,
I don't
Heritage
have the
Center
number.
Theater, 435-865-2882.
And so our season passes, which this year include eight different artists, are $120. And if you do the math, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to see the Utah Symphony alone, it's going to cost you $80 in Salt Lake at Bravenel Hall or wherever. So in the ticket book, we still have a ticket book, but you can do it online as well as a bonus ticket. So if you have a friend, you want them to see Due West, you invite them. I have my ticket, here's the bonus ticket.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can bring a friend. And as the season goes on, we reduce the cost of our season tickets accordingly.
Oh,
so I think at this point, our season tickets are $90 for the remaining acts that you and I discussed. And the 2 bonus tickets are in there as well. We're trying to fill the seats.
Yeah.
We're obviously not in it for the money. We want people to appreciate what music can do for them in their life, and again, a pause from reality, if you will, to spend an evening with their family and go partake of this music, and they'll have a better day the next day, I can guarantee it. We're not in it for the money. We have a board of volunteers, we have educators, we have business people, we have professionals, we have professors from SUU sit on our board, we have teachers, attorneys, and everybody helps. Everybody does their part. Nobody gets paid. If they had to pay us, they couldn't afford us. So we're just trying to do something good in the world. We're trying to move it forward. And thank you for letting me come on the podcast and talk about this and talk about how I got involved in it.
Yeah.
I want to move it forward. So this is our 96th season. We got a centennial coming up. We want that to be big. We're trying to get the.
So if you're interested, those listening, not only of attending the performances, but if you want to get involved with CCMA, just reach out. I'm sure Marty would be happy to talk with you. Look online on their website, reach out.
My contact information is on the website.
Awesome.
And
well, thank you so much, Marty. Marty Warburton on the board for CCMA, and we're so glad to have you and hope the rest of the season goes well.
Thank you, sir, for having me. Thank you so much.